Would you like to play a game? It's called Take a Shot for every in-joke about scary movies throughout this entire runtime. It's a challenge. Scream, otherwise known as Scream 2022, otherwise known as Scream 5, which is exactly what it is, so that's how I'll refer to it throughout this review. Otherwise known as 5 Cream. God, what a missed opportunity. But this is the first movie in the Scream franchise to not be directed by Wes Craven, as he has since tragically passed away, and instead it's directed by the duo who brought you Ready or Not. A very fun horror movie that I clearly liked, also based on a very dangerous game, oddly enough, and this is set 25 years after the original Scream film. A streak of brutal murders shocking the quiet town of Woodsboro, California, and leaving its mark on the horror genre altogether. And now a new killer has donned the ghost face mask, and he begins targeting a group of teenagers to resurrect secrets from the town's deadly past. So story time, my friends. Growing up, I was honestly dreading the day that scary movies were going to come into my life. Call me a wimp all you want, but I was just afraid of all the nightmares I was going to be having. And I honestly didn't know what I was thinking. Maybe I was just a naive kid, because once my dad introduced Scary Movie Night every single Friday, it was bliss. I was hooked from the onset, and I gotta give my dad credit where it's due, because I feel like he's the one who really got my scary movie fandom up to where it is today. And the first movie he showed us was the original Scream film from 1996. I can honestly sit here and call that original film a masterpiece. It's one of the most influential horror movies of all time, not just because of all the slasher elements, which are really, really neat, but also because of how self-aware it is of existing in the genre that it does. And because of that, the first Scream movie and the next 3 sequels to come out afterwards, very, very funny. So since Wes Craven, may he rest in peace, is no longer with us, to say that I was concerned walking into Scream 5 would be a massive understatement. Say what you want about Wes Craven, but the dude is a legend. You cannot deny the impact he made on the horror genre as we know it. For crying out loud, the guy made Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream. Think about that for a moment. But let's just say, my friends, I couldn't help but smile leaving the theater out of Scream 5. It was a blast. I was laughing in all the right spots. Everybody around me was laughing in all the right spots. I was invested in the mystery of who the killer was. The kills also, so gruesome. Like, there are severed veins and arteries everywhere. You could practically see that red viscous fluid smudging the lens up. Not literally, but you get what I mean. But how immersive would that have been if that was literally what happened? My word. And not to say that Scream 5 is a perfect movie at all. I do have my fair share of issues with it, but I gotta commend this team of directors for filling in the shoes of such a legendary filmmaker. They never try to copy his style, but they also never try to be better than him in any way. This is a movie that knows what it is in the year 2022, and the film is dedicated to Wes Craven himself in a classy gesture. But here's the thing, guys. Now with all this art house horror being thrown into the mix like The Babadook and Hereditary, there is a slew of comedic material just waiting for this movie. And I couldn't help but laugh at all of these references, guys. I don't care if they were too overbearing on the story itself. As a scary movie fan, these were freaking funny. Now, I realize that the hardcore Scream fans are really gonna go nuts when they see Sidney Prescott, and I feel like I should preface the rest of my review by saying this. Don't go into Scream 5 expecting all of it to be Sidney Prescott. She's not really introduced until about halfway through. But let me tell you guys, all the new characters that you're introduced to, there's a lot to like here. Everybody really shined, especially Melissa Barrera as our lead Sam here. Excellent performance. And you also have the rest of the gang who, I don't want to call them stock characters because they fit a certain archetype, but you'll see what I mean. There's the doofus sarcastic boyfriend Richie, who is really fun to watch. You have Dylan Minnette from 13 Reasons Why as the geeky mama's boy. You have the courageous little sister who is a lot of fun to watch, Tara from the trailers. You have the dumb jocks. And of course you have that character who is very self-aware of what a horror movie is supposed to be. Not only that, but also introducing the concept of requels and legacy characters. You know, like the ones introduced in The Force Awakens, which actually is referenced. She was an entire mood, especially as someone sitting here with a YouTube channel talking about movies all the time on the regular. She slayed me, guys. But I get it. The hardcore Scream fans are gonna want to know how these legacy characters, so to speak, actually are. And let me just say, none of them disappoint. everybody showed up for this assignment. Neve Campbell as Sidney Prescott is once again a supreme badass here. But like I said, don't go into Scream 5 expecting it to be all on Sidney Prescott's shoulders. She is very much a supporting player in this overarching narrative. As is Courteney Cox, whom I've loved for a very long time as a fan of the sitcom Friends, of course. She was excellent as per usual. But you know what my favorite part of this movie was? That would be former WCW World Heavyweight Champion David Arquette himself. You're welcome, all my fellow wrestling fans, for reminding you that that happened. What the f were they thinking? But joking aside, dude showed up for this. He was so good. Dewey Riley has since retired from the police force, and he's living kind of the bum life. He was so much fun to watch. Again, I'm treading a fine line here with spoilers, but you will love his character in Scream 5 if you loved him in those initial 4 films. But clearly there's a lot to enjoy about Scream 5. The direction is solid, the performances are good, the music is really creepy with all the jump scares and everything. So what don't I like about this movie? Well, there are some times where the movie can feel a little bit too meta. Like there's certain scenes where you want to take it seriously, but they just kind of throw in certain lines just to have a joke there. It kind of reminded me a lot of Thor Ragnarok, even though I love that film. It's easily still in my top 10 MCU films. But the thing is, it feels like there were too many jokes in there. Same idea with this movie. There were points where I just feel like, okay, I need some time to breathe from all this comedy. And there's something that's been on my mind now that I kind of want to address while the camera's rolling here. The idea of a requel that the Halloween movies made famous, especially within these last couple of years, with retconning all those previous sequels and picking up at a certain point in the timeline. Yeah, this movie doesn't do that. It actually acknowledges stuff that happened in Screams 2 through 4, and I kind of take issue with the way this movie was presented and marketed. Simply put, my issue is that the movie's title isn't Scream 5, or 5 Cream. God, that never gets old. Now, this may feel like a nitpick, but the fact that the movie actually, there's a point in here, this is somewhat of a mild spoiler, but there's a little YouTube video that basically makes fun of the fact that, okay, why isn't the Stab 8 movie just called Stab 8? Like, why can't they just not ruin our childhoods? Not to say that Scream 5 ruins your childhood, of course, but the fact that there's a joke in there along these lines, and the fact that the movie isn't called Scream 5, it just feels to me like the joke wasn't fully completed and that the shot wasn't fully fired. But even if it feels too meta, guys, I gotta say, Scream 5 is a very fun time at the movie theater. I think if you're a hardcore fan of the Scream movies, if you're a big fan of scary movies in general, you guys are gonna really, really dig this one. I'm gonna give Scream 5 a B+. Bottom line is, if you're a fan of this franchise, you are probably gonna see this movie anyway. But Scream 5 is a movie that knows what it is, and it never tries to be anything more than that. It just wants to entertain you, and that's exactly what it does. But this is, of course, all just my opinion. Let me know what you thought of Scream 5 down in the comments section below, and let me know what your favorite Scream movie is of all time. Let me know what your favorite Wes Craven movie is as well. Why not? Because as I've mentioned, I love discussing all brand new things cinema and entertainment over here on my channel on the regular. So if you guys are new to the channel, do consider smashing that subscribe button as hard as you possibly can, and tap on that notification bell right next to it. That way you don't miss another future upload from me. This channel is also on the road to 1,000 subscribers, a number I'm amazingly hoping to reach very, very soon. Hopefully you guys can help that number along, and don't forget, smash that thumbs up button on your way out. That would be some tremendous help as well. And as always, stay tuned for more exciting content hitting this channel very, very soon. Look out for my reviews for both The Tragedy of Macbeth and Cyrano. And I'll also be starting my Harry Potter series of reviews before you know it. I promise. I'm still regrouping from my trip to Disneyland over the past week, so I appreciate your guys' patience with me. Y'all are the best, and again, thank you guys so very much for your support up to this point. With all that being said, Back Talk, commence.